Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Kiddushin Daf Kaf Dalid Amud Aleph 24a1. Says the Gemara. We were talking about right now that a woman, we asked the contradiction between Rabbi Meir and between Rabbanan and Rabbanan. The time we learned in a Braita. En Isha Poda Ma'aser Sheni B'lo Chomesh. A woman cannot redeem the Ma'aser Sheni of the husband without adding the fifth. Because at the end of the day, it's like somebody that's redeeming their own Maaser Sheni, meaning your wife is your extension. So if she's redeeming the Maaser Sheni for you, it's considered she's your extension. So just like when you redeem your own Maaser Sheni, you have to add the fifth. So to when your wife does it, you have to add the fifth. Rabbi Shimon Elazar says the name of Rabbi Meir, Isha Puda Maaser Sheni B'lo Chomesh. She could do it. Why? Because it's not considered redeeming your own Maaser Sheni. Because basically he wants to say that since the Maaser Sheni does not belong to the woman, because it's not ish mi ma'asro, so therefore she doesn't have to add the chomesh, she doesn't have to add the fifth. So says the Gemara, hey chidami, what's the case exactly? Pay attention, what's the case? Ilema bezuze de ba'al ma'aser de ba'al. If we're talking about that the money belongs to the husband, and the ma'aser belongs to the husband, which means that the woman's redeeming the fruits of ma'aser sheni with a kesef of the husband, so therefore, shlichut de ba'al kavla. So that's for sure, she's doing the shlichut of the husband. She's a shliach of the husband. She's using the husband's money, and the fruits are of the husband, so everything's the husband. So obviously she would have to add the fifth. Ve'ela barather, mezuzah dida u'maaser didei. It's her money, and it's his maaser. So ish mimaasro manachmana velo isha. So do we say that it's only a man when he takes off from his maaser, he has to come and redeem it, and he has to give a fifth, but not a woman. So therefore, that's why. Right, a woman would not come and give the extra fifth because it's her money and his produce. So says the Gemara, but rather it has to be that somebody else is giving her a money. The Elmaleh, and he tells her that it's on condition that you're going to redeem the maaser of your husband, and therefore it's like somebody else that's doing it. So therefore he comes and he says you don't have to add a fifth on the pidyon. And the machloket is Chachamim hold that it does not help the t'nai, right? The fact that, and therefore, whenever the woman requires, it goes to the husband, and therefore it's kilu, the husband is redeeming the maaser. And according to the other shita, it's the exact opposite. He says, no, it does help the t'nai, and therefore it's somebody else that's redeeming it, and therefore there's no problem. Okay? Ve'ipcha shamanu lahu. So we learned in the Braita that the Ot of Rabbi Meir and Chachamim are the exact opposite. In our Mishnah, Rabbi Meir holds that the t'nai does not help, and Chachamim hold that it does help. In the Braita, it says the exact opposite. That according to the Tanai does not help, right? According to Chachamim, and according to Meir, the Tanai does help. So the exact opposite of our Mishnah. What's going on? So I'm going to Abaye comes and he says, Epuch, you're right. Change it, flip it. Okay, you have to flip it. So says the Gemara, Rava comes and says, Le'olam lo tepuch. Yeah, don't flip it. Here we're talking about the maaser that comes from her house. That's what we're dealing with, which means that she has a Yerusha from her family. Rabbi Meir goes according to his reasoning to Amar that he says Maaser Mamon Ekdeshu, that he says Maaser Sheni is considered Mamon Ekdesh, and therefore since it's considered Maaser Mamon Ekdesh, Lo Kani Le'abal, the husband does not acquire it from the woman. Meaning when the woman gets this inheritance, the husband does not get it. Rabbanan L'Taimai, and the Rabbanan also go according to the reasonings, the Amri that they say Mamon Ediotu, that it's Mamon Ediot. And therefore the husband does acquire it. And therefore shlichuta de ba'al kavda. She's doing the shlichut of the husband. Tana. Yeah, we learned in a Braita. Yotze b'shen va'ayin. So he said, how does an Eved Kenani go out free? He goes out free b'shen va'ayin. V'rashe varim u'v'rashe varim sheno chozrim, and things which are the main membranes which do not come back. Right? That means basically the second that it gets rid of it, they don't grow back. Bishlam b'shen va'ayin. I understand Shen Va'ayin K'tivi, but it's written. But Rashe Varim, how do we know that Eved Kenani goes out free with Rashe Varim? So it says, it's compared to Shen Va'ayin, just like Shen Va'ayin. These are things which are revealed. Then Chozrim, they don't come out, which means if somebody takes out an eye or a tooth, that's it, come on, Kaddish. Of course, so to nowadays, we're talking about we're talking about things which are Galui, and they do not come back. So therefore, that's what we said, that it's going to be that an Eved Kenani will go out with all the six. So ask the Gemara, Why don't we just say that Shen Vayin is considered two psukim which are teaching the same concept, which means each one on its own is coming to teach us about the Mumin Shebagolishim Chozrim, and therefore so therefore you cannot learn it on anything else. When you have two psukim which are coming and telling you something, you cannot learn on another halakha. So says the Gemara, the Torah had to tell you Shen Vayin. Why? And it's not considered Shnei Ketuvim Mumin Kechad. Why? If the Torah would have only written about the Shen, Hava Mina, I would have thought to say right, Afilu. Like Kavdal Lamubet, Afilu Shen de Chalav, even a Shen of the, how do you call it? The nursing teeth? The baby teeth. Baby teeth. Yeah? So he says Shen de Chalav. Right? So he says that's also considered, which means that if right now the Adon came and he hit the Katan, and this Katan had one of his teeth come out, now he's going to have another tooth coming back. So that's why Katav Rachmana, right? That's why he comes and he says about the Ayin. Right? Why? Because it's an ever that does not go away. So therefore, right? In such a case, the Shen has to be a Shen Kavua, meaning adult teeth. It cannot be the baby teeth. If it was only written Ayin, Havamina would have thought to say, Ma Ayin Shenivraymo. The Ayin is only something which is born with him. Of course, Shenivraymo, but that's only something which is created, born with him. Aval Shen, no, but not the Shen. Meaning, an eye is born with the human being. So only if he takes out the eye does he have to come and he has to actually go out free. But if it's going to be in the Shen, which is basically the tooth, you don't say that. Okay? Fine. So that's why you need both cases of Shen Vayin, and therefore it's not Shnei Ketuvim B'Im Kechad, Shem Melamdim. Remember, Shnei Ketuvim B'Im Kechad means two psukim which are telling you the same yisod, which you didn't need to write it. So if you didn't need to write it and you still wrote it, it means that you can't learn for other halachot. And here we're saying that you don't do that. Fine. Says the Gemara, Ve'ema Kiyake Klal, Shen Ve'ayin Prat. Right? Why don't we just say that Kiyake? Kiyake means at the beginning of the pasuk it says that when somebody's going to hit, Kiyake. So why don't we just say Kiyake is a generalization. Shen ve'ayin is a specification, is a prat. Klal ufrat en ba'klal el ma'sheva prat, which means that there's nothing in the klal, only that which is a prat. So it has to be Shen ve'ayin in, then be diachrin lo. So it's only Shen ve'ayin. It's not anything else. And so the Gemara, lachushi shalechenu chazar ve'klal. When it says Kiyake, it's a generalization. Shen ve'ayin specification. When it says again lachushi shalechenu, you have to send them out free. It's a generalization. What does that mean? When you have a generalization with specification, and specialization, you always go according to the specification. Ma prat, just like the prat, right, is mefurash, right? And he says it's mum shabagalui, the ena mechozrin, which means that it's something which is revealed to everybody and it does not come back. So too, it has to be any type of a mum which is going to be golui and does not come back. So ask the Gemara, Ima prat mefurash, if you're going to tell me now that the prat is talking about mumin shebegalui, uvatel imlachto, and because of this, he's going to stop working, ve'eno chozer, and it does not come back. Af kol mumin shebegalui ve'eno chozer uvatel imlachto. So has to be also that it's going to be that is vatel imlachto. Salama tanya. So why do we learn in a braita? Talash miskano v'dildel bo etzem. What happens if he grabbed the zakan, and all of a sudden, right, he went and let's say like the jaw. Right, he grabbed the beard and he yanked, and all of a sudden now the jaw moved a little bit, right, dislocated. So he comes and he says, "Eved yotzeh b'lechrut." He says, "Why?" Because he's got a dislocated jaw, he can't work. If you're telling me, because you basically came and you told me, okay, it has to be like the prat. What is the prat? Shen v'ayin, right? The eye in the tooth. So he said, the eye in the tooth is something which is revealed to everybody. Everyone could see it. And he comes and he says, and it's a mum shabagalui, and also eno chozer. It doesn't come back. Somebody take out somebody's eye, you can't get it back. Somebody takes out somebody's tooth, you can't get it back. You get a fake one, but it's not a real tooth, right? So what happens? Says the Gemara, there's also another aspect. If a person doesn't have his eye, he can't work properly, right? So the same thing. I guess maybe we're going to ask about what about the tooth. Why does it say that? He says that
maybe the pain of
he says the teeth that since he can't bite properly, so kilu he can't eat properly, and therefore kilu he's batel. Yeah, he doesn't have energy. So he says, so too, you should add that on.
Yeah, but galui, the teeth can be the one in the back. It's not really galui.
Fine, but it's still galui. I mean, it's something that you open up your mouth, you could see it, yeah? So we're not talking about the wisdom tooth, right? Yeah. No, because anyway, also, when you're coming and you're taking out somebody's thing, it's like, well, usually one of the ones here. Yeah, I'll show you. Come. Yeah. So he comes and he says, right? He says like this. So he says, Lachoshi shalechen was ribuyu. It says ribui. What does it mean ribui? The pasuk of Lachoshi Shalom is actually a ribui, and it's not a klal ufrat uklal. And therefore, since it's a ribui, right, it's ribui miyutor, it's amplification, limitation, amplification. And therefore, what happens is that we're adding on other things as well. So says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me now it's an amplification, which means you're adding on other things. So even if he's going to hit him on the hand, and all of a sudden now it becomes like all swollen, it should come back. Also, you should say the same thing. So why do we learn that he doesn't go off free? So answers the Gemara, so why do we bring down shen va'ayin then? Obviously, we're talking about that it has, that means even though it's an inclusion, right? It's amplification, it's adding more things, but it has to be shen va'ayin is still the main thing. Okay? Fine. Tanu Rabbana. We learned in a Braita. Bikulam. In all of these 24 membranes, right? There's 24 brought down in the Mishnah in Negaim to do with Nega Tzarat and everything like that. So it says over there, in these 24, Eved Yotze B'Haim Lechirut, and Eved is going to go out to Lechirut. It's Tzarich get Shichrut, and he needs to get, that means even though he goes out free, he still needs to get Shichrut. These are the words of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Meir says he doesn't need to get Shichrut. He goes out completely free. Rabbi Eliezer says, no, Tzarich, you do need. Rabbi Tarfon Omer, and Tzarich. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Tzarich. So look, you go back and forth, back and forth. You have Eved, he needs to get Shichrut, that's Tanakama. That's Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Meir says you don't need. Rabbi Eliezer says you do need. Rabbi Tarfon says you don't need. Rabbi Akiva Omer, you do need. Okay, so now he comes and he says, the ones which are coming and they're going to decide between the Chachamim, they say, it looks like Rabbi Tarfon, which he says that you don't need, Shen va'ayin. That means we hold like Rabbi Tarfon that you do not need a get Shichrut and Shen va'ayin. Why? Because the Torah was the one that gave him the zechut to go out free. But it looks like the words of Rabbi Akiva, B'shar Devarim, but it looks like the words of the Rabbi Akiva, right? Which is what? Which is basically that you do need to get shichrut on other membranes. Why? Because that's a knas of the Chachamim. So ask the Gemara, knas? What are you doing knas? I thought we just made the pasukim. We just came and we took the pasukim and we started saying yes, no, whether it's a klal ufrat uklal, whether it's klal ufrat, whether it's a ribui. But it means it's not a knas of Chachamim. We're getting it from the rabbis, meaning we're getting it from the Torah. So answers the Gemara, Ela hoil midrash. Yeah, but it's a midrash. Meaning the fact that you have to come and it's not written befurash in the Torah and the rabbis have to expound upon it. So therefore it's considered like a knas of Chachamim. So therefore, one more time. According to Rabbi Akiva, right, on everything else other than the shen va'ayin, you need to get shichrut. You still need an emancipation letter. You know what that is, yeah? Yeah? A letter of freedom. Outside of the ayin
because
thing.
They come from
they come from the midrash chachamim, but the shen va'ayin comes from the pasuk. No, shen va'ayin comes from the pasuk.
Yeah.
So since shen va'ayin comes from the pasuk, you don't need to get to the shikru. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, my time Rabbi Shimon. What's the reasoning of Shimon? Why is it that Rabbi Shimon says that by shen va'ayin and shevarim you always need to get shikru? So he says yalif shiluach meisha. You learn the gzera shava from the woman. What does that mean? Ma isha bishtar. Af eved bishtar. It says lachofshi shalachenu, and it says v'shilecha mi beto. You have to send her out of your house, right? And lachofshi shalachenu, you have to send them free. Since it's written the same terminology, yishalach, right? Shalach, right? Shalach teshalach etaim v'taberim tikach lach. Yeah, right. Some people they make a mistake by shaloch again. They come, they send the mother with the children out of town, and they send them to the in-laws. Say no. Shalach teshalach etaim v'taberim tikach lach. You have to take the children, so you have to be the babysitter, and you have to send her to the in-laws. Right? They make a mistake, but it doesn't matter. Fine. But here it says Yishalechenu, which means you're going to send, right? Lachofshi Yishalechenu, you have to send them out free. And it says V'shilechami beto, you have to send her out of your house. Since it says shiluach by both, I apply them both. Just like by a woman, when you send her away, it has to be with a get. So too, when you send a servant away, even though you're sending away lachofshi, you're saying with you knocked out his eye, or you still need a get. You need a shtar. Rabbi Meir, and according to Rabbi Meir, they say you don't need a get. Why not? You don't need to get shichrut, right? Why not? He says, "Ikatav chofshi levasof." If it said yishalechenu chofshi, then it's like what you said. But now it says lachofshi shalechenu. So havalei chofshi mikara, which means that he's already chofshi, because you said chofshi, he's already free, and now you're sending him away. Not that you're sending away and then he's free. Okay, meaning it depends on the order of the pasuk of the words. Okay, so Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, ikaw elenolus v'simea. So imagine right now you come, you hit your Eved on his eye and you blinded him, or on his ear and you made him deaf. He goes out free, right? Now he says over here, however, if it's negedeno, right, which means what happens if it was right that you hit the wall by his eye, and then what happened was it went and it got him afraid or whatever it is, right? And then what happens is it caused that right now he cannot see. or keneged ozno ve'eno shomea. Now, which means it wasn't direct. Meaning, until now, when we were talking about he went like this. He gave him right here in the eye, took out the eye. That's it. Goes up free. What else? It wasn't there. He hit right against the wall, and right here by the wall. Now, because whether it's a sound, whatever it was, now you can't see. So it wasn't a direct to the eye or to the ear. So he says over here, he does not go out free. Right? He comes, okay, obviously being a deaf mute also is considered one of these mumim. Okay? He says because you could actually look at it according to the way that he acts. That's why it's galui. Okay? Fine. So he comes and he says now this. Amar Shimon, he says, remember the kala love kluma. You're going to tell me now that the voice is nothing? Meaning you went and you hit the wall and made such a loud bang that the guy became deaf. You're going to tell me it's nothing? Imagine right now a Tanegol, he puts his head inside of a glass utensil. And he comes and he made a noise. And because of the noise, it was such a big noise, it smashed the glass. Are you going to tell? He has to pay. He has to pay. Why does he have to pay? If you have a horse that
jumps.
No, what's the word when a horse?
Flying horse?
Nah. Yeah, exactly. A horse. I forgot the name in English.
No, I have it in French anyways.
Okay. That if a horse is going to neigh now, right? The chamor shenar, or a chamor that he braids, v'shavru kelim toch habayit, and they break the kelim inside the house. They have to pay chatzin. So you see from here that a person is going to be chayav nezek even on a voice, meaning that don't think that because of a sound you're not chayav. If you come and you screech and all of a sudden it smashes something, you're going to be chayav. So to hear why are you going to be patur for your evet? So Elmaleh comes and he says shane adam, it's different a human being. They given the bardatu. Because basically, since a human being has that, he's getting himself afraid, which means that it's because of himself that he got all afraid because of the sudden, whatever it is, the noise. An animal does not. So therefore, because of that, right, that's why it's a little bit different. Okay? The time as we learned in the Braita, if you scare your friend, right, you are going to be patur midinei adam chayav dinei hashemayim. Yeah? Keitzad, what's the case? Taka be'ozno v'chersho. Imagine, I take a shofar to chersho, patur. Achazo. It's not you're allowed to do it. It's patur midine adam, the chayav midine shamayim. Meaning in shamayim, they're going to exact retribution. Don't think you're allowed to do it. The exact retribution. The only thing is down here, downstairs, we can't do anything to you. Meaning if you come and you take the guy to the deen, you can't do anything. But upstairs, don't worry about it. Yeah, he'll have him. Yeah?
You'll hear it.
He'll hear it, exactly. What happens if he grabbed him and then he was taka be'ozno v'chersho? Chayav. There he's chayav. Why? Because he made a maaseh with the goof of the person. Meaning the fact that he grabbed him, it's not just stam grama, it's a maaseh gamur. Right? Imagine, he grabbed him, tied him out, and now he goes, no. That for sure is chayav. He did an action. But it was just stam. Yeah, the guy didn't realize also, right? He's going to be patur. We learned in the Braita. What happens if he hit him on the eye, but he didn't take out his eye? He only dimmed the eye, which means that he didn't become 100% blind, but he damaged the eye. Right? He damaged it, but it's not 100% blind. Or else shino, and then now it's all wobbly. Right? That means he didn't actually take out the tooth, but it's wobbly. If he could use them now, which means, can he still use it normally, like something that's going to help, right? Whether it's with the tooth or with the eye, so then the evidence does not go out free. However, if not, which means that it's already that it's not, whether you are nowadays, I think they call it legally blind, which means legally blind doesn't mean that mamash is zero, right? He could still see something, but he's considered, I don't remember how much it is, right? But meaning that there's a certain amount that it's already considered like, that's it. It's already enough, right? So in love, and if not, every dude we learned another right. What happens if the Evid already had a bad eye, and now you came and you blinded him? Or his tooth was already weak. Now you took it off. If they at the beginning they could have already used it, so that's also another one. Which means that if right now they could have come and they could have used it beforehand. So therefore, now they're going to go lecherut also as well. Why? Because since it was fitting for shimush, and now you stopped it, so now you have to let him go free. But if anyway they couldn't have used it beforehand, so if it's not considered the mamash, you destroyed it, and therefore it's going to be you don't have to take them out free. So says the Gemara, and you needed both cases. Why? If it was the first case, right? Because at the end of the day, at the beginning, he was healthy. And now it became bad. But here in the other case, the meikara from the beginning, that he already had a bad eyesight. So I would say that he doesn't go free, even though he could have used it, but he already had a bad eyesight. It was already something bad. Now, if you're only going to tell me the other case, which is the second braita, because you made it completely blind. But if it was going to be in the other case, which was basically you only made it bad, so I would say that I would say you don't go free. So tzricha, that's why you need both braitas. We need both braitas to teach you the stringency and the leniency of each one, right? That you need both cases, that basically he would actually go off free, whether he was able to use it or not. If he's not able to use it, then no. If he is able to use it, right? The opposite. Meaning if he's able to use it, so then he doesn't go off free. And if he's not able to use it, he does not go off free. Next, Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a braita. Hare shayara bo rofeh. What is of the rabbi, the master, is a doctor. So he comes and he tells him, listen, put on this for refuah. And then simya, then he became blind. Meaning the master was not just doing it stam. The master told him, put on this medicine. But the medicine made him blind. But he's the master. Or lachtor l'shino, imagine he's the dentist, right? And all of a sudden he comes and he takes out the tooth, right? Sichek ba'adon, right? In these cases, it comes out that he was playing around with the master and he goes out free. That means kilu, that even if he was doing it purposely, the guy comes and he tells the master, no, it hurts what do I do? So my master comes and he says, he's scared what the evid, he's suffering, do this. Also blinds him. He goes out free. So kilu, the eved was playing around with the master because now he goes out free. So he comes and he says, right? So he comes and he says, he goes out free. Rashba Gomer says, Shihata. It has to be that you have the kavanah, the shachet ota. Only if you have the kavanah, the shachet ota, then it's going to be bad. Rabbanan, according to Rabbanan, what you do, you need that which we learned from the Braita. Rabbi Lazar says, Haresh Shoshit Yado Lim'e Shifchato Vesime Ubar Shebimea. Imagine right now, right? A person comes and he puts his hands into the rechem of the woman in order to give her birth. Right? Very interesting case, but okay. Right?
So she's struggling. She's about to
give birth, but he puts his hand into the uterus to give her birth. Nowadays, usually we wait until it comes out, but okay. But now by doing that, he was simeh ha'ubar shebimea. He made the ubar inside of her stomach blind. Patur. He should be patur. My time, what's the reasoning? Shechata means means he has the kavanah to be mashchit. Here he doesn't have the kavanah to be mashchit. He has the kavanah to take out the child. So if there's no kavanah here, but the other one he comes and says you're learning it from the V'idach. Another one he says he doesn't make this drasha of the extra v'shichet, which means that how do you know that basically this deen of v'shichet? So he says you're learning it from the fact that it could have said v'shichet and it didn't say that, it said v'shichet. So therefore we're saying shichet ota, which means the Torah is telling us that even in a case where he does have kavanah, right, to do with the ayin of the eved, nevertheless the eved is not called the chirut unless he had kavanah lashchit. Okay, so Amar of Sheshat says of Sheshat, Haresh Aitayino Simuya. What happens if he already had a blind eye, the chatata, and then he took it out from the hole, from the socket? So the guy was already blind, but now he took it out of the socket. Still the slave goes up free. He says, my time, what's reasoning? Because now he's mechusar evidim. Because beforehand he had it, he was just blind. Now he doesn't even have the eyeball. Meaning before he had an eyeball. Now he doesn't have the eyeball. Right? Okay. So the Tana Tuna, right? And there was a Tana, that's his name, right? He comes and he says, Tamut v'zachrut bebema, v'hen tamut v'zachrut b'ofot. Right? Our Tana actually taught that when we're talking about korbanot, it says over there, right? When the Torah does not say lirtzonechem tamim zachar, right? He comes and he says, but it says babakar b'kesaviv u'ba'izim. We learn that when you're bringing a korban, the animal has to be tamima mimum v'liot zachar. Ve'en tamu v'zachur be'ofot. However, though, when you're bringing, right, because even ofot nekevot ba'alei mumim are going to be kosher, right? That means to do with the ofot, you can bring even, if it's ba'al mum or even nekevot, but to do with the other ones, It has to be zachar, and it has to be without a mum. Okay? Yachol yaveshagapa. What happens right now if the wing becomes dried up of the bird? Or nikta ragla, or the leg was cut off. Or nechteta an hour, it doesn't have an eye. Talmud comes to teach you, the minha off, the lo kola off. The fact it says mina off and not kola off, so it comes to teach you that even though the off is balmum, it's kasher lakrava, but if it's mechusar evar, it's not kosher for akrava. Meaning that even if it has a blemish, it's still kosher. But the second that it's missing a limb, it's not kosher anymore. So Amar Chia Barashi Maral says lo yeteret v'chatacha. What happens if it has an extra finger and you cut it off? The eved also goes out lechurut. This is why, because ki'ilu that it's not. It's that means even though it wasn't an eved which was normally common by human being, the fact that it had an extra finger and you cut it off, he also goes out to churut. Amar Avuna v'hu keshenisver, but that's only if it's counted with other fingers, meaning that you can actually count one to the. But if it's completely, like on the, completely different finger. So then, no, you don't. You can do not go out free because it's not counted with all other fingers. So therefore, you don't go out free with the Rashi Vari.